So it's been at least 3 years since I've had to wait in line to go to the bathroom after a movie got out. So what'd you think?
I loved it. I thought it was great.
A pretty flawless, fun popcorn movie.
A lot of popcorn.
We ate lots of popcorn.
We consumed
This
a
truly
lot
is
of
a popcorn movie.
The more nervous I got, and the more
more I ate
intense I got,
popcorn.
the more I was shoveling in my mouth.
Yeah, so I think the trailer does the movie justice, but there's a lot more to see than what you see in the trailer. I was a little worried we saw the whole movie.
Yeah, same.
I was also worried that this was going to be Top Gun 1 again, and this is one of those sequels that does a really good job where it hits a lot of the beats of Top Gun 1, but does not feel like just a retread.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes. I was worried about that too.
Miles Teller was good in this.
Yes.
I wasn't sure because Miles Teller is a little bit of a, I'm not sure what to expect from him, but he was legit really good in this, I thought.
He really looks like he's related to Anthony Edwards. Like, very much so.
Yeah, it's like double take level.
It's
almost.
really, a couple times it was like, oh, is that a flashback scene? No, that's actually Miles Teller.
Any thoughts on Kelly McGillis not being in this one?
Well, I thought maybe they'd talk about her. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get any wrap up to their story. Like, I guess we're just supposed to assume that they had a relationship and then they were done. Like, and that's it. But I guess I wanted something. I wanted them to be like, oh yeah, your previous girlfriend. I can't remember her name in the original, but.
So I wasn't quite sure. Like in my mind when I saw the trailer and Jennifer Connelly was in it, I was like, oh, this must be Kelly McGillis' character recast. And then I found out that she wasn't recast. And then after rewatching Top Gun, which, I've seen Top Gun a number of times, but it's been a long time since I've watched it. When we were rewatching it before going to this movie, it's a pretty definitive ending of their relationship. Like, she's going, like, they were always, like, ships passing in the night kind of a thing. Like, she always had career ambitions to go somewhere else, and Maverick always had career ambitions to do something different, and it was always like a summer fling. And I think we only think of them as like a couple because of the romantic love song that is as famous as the movie itself. You know what I mean? Like, you think of them as like a couple because of that song, not necessarily because of what the movie conveys. Because in the movie, like, that's really their goodbye. Like, they don't even like kiss at the end. Like, it fades out before they, like, there's any kind of like real embrace. It's really them saying goodbye, I feel like.
I guess I didn't get that, but that does make sense.
Maybe they never saw each other again.
Yeah.
I think that I like that they had like a love interest in this movie, as opposed to like, we don't know what to do, so just don't bother, which is what a lot of movies have been doing lately. I don't know that Jennifer Connelly's character was like the strongest, most compelling romantic lead to put in this movie that you could necessarily do, but for what it was, I thought she did a good job, and like, she filled an important role in the story, I feel like, enough to justify her being there.
I was happy to see Jennifer Connelly again. I was really excited that she was going to be in this movie because I feel like I haven't seen her in anything in a really, really long time. But I thought they did a good job of we got a picture of what their relationship is like, which is they've obviously been on and off for some time, possibly decades. What was the math that you figured out about this movie earlier? Like, everyone's the wrong age, basically.
Well, so if Top Gun takes place in 1986, as opposed to present day, which means it takes place at the same time as this Top Gun, which I'm guessing that's not what they mean by that. So let's say it takes place in 1986. Miles Teller's character would be like 45 in the context of this movie.
And he may be like in his early 30s, maybe, but he's definitely not.
He's age appropriate for the story.
Yeah, but he's not.
And that's all that really matters
for the timeline.
And since Tom Cruise has stopped aging, it doesn't. It works out. It's a pretty straightforward movie in the sense, like, there's not really that much to say. Like, it's got a good story. Like, the whole thing is, here's the mission. We trained for the mission. Here's how the mission's supposed to go, and then you spend the whole movie building up to that, so then the tension is just like really high when they actually go on it. You know every single little thing that's supposed to happen along the way. And there's a pretty great payoff in the last 15 minutes or so that kind of comes out of left field, but I think is a welcome fan edition, I guess we'll say.
Yeah.
That just kicks the movie into like extra Hollywood level.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, what are they going to do with this last half hour?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and they definitely found like a fun, albeit, the movie definitely sort of jumped the shark, but in a way that was very welcome, especially assuming there's not going to be a Top Gun 3.
Yeah.
Assuming. But yeah, I mean, like, basically flawlessly executed, and, obviously we rag on movies even if they're good. And so it feels a little bit like a cop-out to say that, but I mean, this is such a straightforward story with straightforward characters. Like, that's what the first Top Gun is, right? Like, it's corny because it's, Star Wars straightforward. This one more Star Wars than Star Wars, almost.
Yeah.
At times, the plot of this is remarkably, I kept hearing Star Wars dialogue in my head, actually, literally. There's definitely an element to this story, and you guys all know what we're talking about, that is literally Star Wars.
Yeah.
That requires them to say dialogue that's exactly from Star Wars,
exactly
even, because it's literally just ripped from Star Wars.
I had that thought. I was like, is this from
Is this Star Wars? Wait, are we watching Star Wars?
Is this Top Gun? Is this quote from Top Gun? And I'm like, no, this is
This
definitely...
is the line from Star Wars that you just said. Not intentional, but just is what it is.
But, like, it's the same inflection and everything.
This isn't that hard of a movie to get right, and they get it right, so nothing to complain about. This is the most exhilarating movie of the summer so far.
Yeah. I never thought that the original was fake looking. Like, you could tell me that those actors were flying those planes, and I would have been like, yeah, sure. But in this, you can see the G's on their face.
They know how to display that.
You can see the impact.
Yeah, that was one of the...
it was pretty cool.
That was one of the things we were talking about before when we were watching the first Top Gun, is it never looked like Tom Cruise was fake riding a motorcycle in that movie until we saw him riding a real motorcycle throughout Paris in Mission Impossible Fallout. And so now when he's clearly on like the rig going down the airport, it's actually like kind of cringy. And the same thing with some of the close-ups of them in the cockpits in the first movie, where it's clearly like just a bunch of smoke and stuff, kind of making like they're actually in the air. And there are obviously shots of them actually in the air in the movie.
Yeah.
But they're also quite, most of the dialogue in that is not actually in a aircraft, it's on a set or whatever. And after seeing just the trailer for this movie, that stuff retrospectively looks just silly, just because the full effect of the G-forces and what that does to your expressions and your face and your acting is on full display here, so now we know what it actually looks like, which was pretty spectacular.
It was pretty cool, and we saw some cool planes, and I'm not super... We saw some cool plane tricks, also.
So much, yeah.
A lot of plane tricks that, jet tricks, that you would usually have to pay for a Blue Angels show to see,
Yeah, and see, this is why for me, this is like the perfect big Hollywood popcorn movie as opposed to something like Doctor Strange. Because we're not going to talk about Doctor Strange, but just to like, I guess, hopefully make it a little bit more understandable where I'm coming from when I'm watching a movie. This is truly showing us something we've never seen before, just like the first Top Gun did the same thing, right? Technology has progressed to a degree that you can do something incredible in camera and show the audience something that they've never seen before, at least not like this. Computers will get better and better, but it's still just computers. Like, it's still something at a certain point, it's just a cartoon. And that's all it is. And I've seen lots of cartoons. Mm-hmm. This really offers you something unique and cinematic.
Yeah.
And that to me is the difference. And there's plenty of CG in this, I'm sure. Like, there's a lot of flying in between bridges and stuff where it's like, I'm pretty sure there's no bridge there.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But, it's how it's captured. Same thing with the first Top Gun. Like, there's lots of miniature work in Top Gun, but you never talk about that because there's so much that isn't that. And they did such a good job marrying it together that you just don't question it. And this movie does the same thing.
This is a straight up go see it. I'm not even going to say or not. Like,
yeah, this is just a definitely go see it. Definitely see it in the theater. Cult of the New, but I think this is better than the first one, probably.
I mean, let's give it a minute, but it was definitely a higher quality movie. Like
it's a bit better rounded.
Yeah, it has. You know, one thing I was going to say this earlier, but like the mission is clearly laid out, and I understand what was happening. Whereas the first one,
the ending is tacked on.
I couldn't tell you what
the movie
exactly
ends.
They were trying to achieve in the first one.
And that's the thing. Like, you know, the thing about the first Top Gun. You know, it's not a flawless movie. It's flawlessly fun, but it's not a flawless movie. So, like, the first Top Gun, you know, is a competition movie to be top of your class. And then after that's over, we're going to have some more movie where we do some extra stuff because we haven't done enough stuff yet, because it's not very satisfying to have it end with a trophy when it's a movie about fighter pilots. In this movie, they avoid that issue by, it is always about the mission. They're at Top Gun Academy, bringing the Top Gun academics back to train specifically for this mission and execute it. And that's where I think, just overall as a movie, I think it's a little bit more on solid ground, although I think probably the plot of the first Top Gun is maybe a more interesting idea because it is like a competition and like a sports movie disguised as a combat movie, which is an interesting idea. This is just a more straightforward combat movie,
which was okay.
I mean, this is going to sound probably like a cop-out, but probably the most excited I've been watching a movie since Mission Impossible Fallout. In terms of just a straightforward action movie. I'm trying to think of other movies that like really blew me away in the last few years. Obviously, it's been kind of weird because COVID put a giant 2-year, you know, halt on exciting things. But, I mean, really, just definitely, if you're a fan of Mission Impossible, it gives it a run for its money. It's more focused, but it is just as spectacular.
Yeah.
We saw a preview for Mission Impossible, the next one. I don't remember what it's called.
I don't care what it's called. But you know what?
Wait.
We're gonna know because we're gonna see this exact same trailer for the next literally 13 months.
Yeah, I can't believe they released a trailer for that over a year before it's coming out.
Oh my god.
But I'm not gonna lie, it took me a little while to get into Top Gun the first 10 minutes because I kept thinking, I just want to watch that Mission Impossible trailer again. They showed a lot too. Like, it was like a full-on trailer.
It wasn't just a teaser.
It wasn't like, Ethan, we have a mission for you, and then a slow focus in, you see Ethan's eyes, and then he's like, I'm ready. 2023. It was like a whole trailer.
I just am going to be so sick of that. I'm going to be so burnt out by the time we actually get to that movie. But anyway, I'm sure I'll be seeing it, and we'll be talking about it.
But that's not Top Gun.
That's not Top Gun.